So if you thought the Disney Plus shows were good so far, just wait till you watch What If, because the first episode is actually out today, and I watched it, and I'm about to give my review, and I am thoroughly impressed. And there's 10 episodes of the series What If, so I'm thinking if this is what the first episode's like, I can only imagine what the other ones are like. And yeah, I think this could take the cake as far as Loki, Loki being the top one. This could definitely take the cake. So yeah, let's get to it. So what is What If? It is basically like DC Elseworlds, or a basically true multiverse story telling, given from a narration of a being called the Watcher. So if you think about it from the MCU perspective, for example, if you take what in Doctor Strange, or I guess in Avengers, the Endgame and Infinity War, when they're talking about when something changes along the timeline, it could fracture and branch out and create other alternative timelines based off choices that are made in that given timeline. So just like you would in general, like every action has an equal or positive reaction, or something like that. So that's basically what If is. So What If, in this example, or as far as this episode goes, it's based off of Captain America and Peggy Carter, Agent Carter. But what if their roles were switched? So what if a choice was made and it caused Peggy Carter to become what would be Captain America, but ends up being Captain Carter? That's basically what this is. So what's nice about it is you don't have to be like, well, it's a whole other story I'm going to have to learn. Not really, because they're basically taking the Captain America movie that had come out and redoing it with Peggy Carter as the main character, Captain Carter. So Captain Carter, the first female Avenger, basically is what they're doing. It's just basically a movie redo. And it's great because they basically compact the whole movie in less than 30 minutes, which I think is pretty cool. One thing I will say is, after watching this episode, and I don't know if it was so much just because it was Peggy Carter in the role as Captain Carter, but this did give me very, Wonder Woman vibes. You're going to watch this and think she's just Wonder Woman, just Marvel. And she very much is. And from the Wonder Woman movie that we got, which takes place, I believe, during World War One. It's been a while since I've watched it, so don't at me too much in the comments. No, Justin, it's World War II. It happened during a war, okay? It happened during a war. I think it was World War One. But nonetheless, it basically reminds me a lot of that movie, and I think it's okay. I think we can have both. I think we can have Captain Carter and Wonder Woman. I think there's a little bit of difference there because Wonder Woman being an Amazon and not having relationships with men, or not being a part of like earthly things because she's on Themyscira, versus Peggy Carter being, just the woman who helps men in the background and now being pushed to the forefront as a hero, but caring and wanting to win the war. I mean, it's a little bit different perspective. So I think it brings something new to the table that we haven't seen yet with that type of character. So I think it still works. But yes, when you watch this, you're going to be thinking this is totally Wonder Woman. Now, just like in the movie with Steve Rogers, you have him always being put down for being, a scrawny, skinny kid from Brooklyn. He's a weakling. He can't do nothing. So that's still a theme throughout the show. We emphasize that he's just a skinny kid from Brooklyn. He's weak. Well, now we have Peggy Carter, her being a female. And of course, at the time, females didn't really, have that same kind of stature as men, even Steve Rogers. So, there's a lot of throwbacks and calls to her being, oh, she's just a female. Oh, she can't do this. Oh, she's just a Fraulein. She can't do nothing. So it's, it is with the times, but, it's just kind of like, don't ever underestimate Peggy Carter. Even if she was even Agent Carter, don't ever underestimate her. Because, yeah, she's a badass. So one thing I did like is that they have Peggy and Steve's romance. So even despite this being an Elseworlds, or What If story, and it being like a multiverse retelling of essentially the same story, their romance still lives on regardless. Even if it happens in a little bit different way, you'll still get to see that their romance is there. They still have callbacks to them, having a dance. Steve not being able to dance very well. So it's still good to see that because, all in all, I know that Captain America, the movie, and, this What If version is, basically a story about Hydra in World War II and this being a hero that can take them down. You still have this underlying romantic story arc in the story that just kind of like we see throughout the MCU, at least with Steve Rogers at the end going back and having his dance with Peggy. So it's good to see that throwing callbacks to that, and we still get to see their romance blossom. So one interesting addition, and try not to give too much away, because of course I want y'all to watch the episode because it's freaking awesome, but there is some new additions to this that I did not see coming, and one of those included something called the Hydra Stomper. It is in the trailer. It's also in like the clip when you're looking on Disney Plus to watch the episode. So it's not like it's giving, it's pretty much giving it away already. But it's basically the OG Warhammer. So pre Iron Man. So just like in the movie where they're basically after the Tesseract, which is like the first Infinity Gem or stone that we get to see. It's basically that they use that to power up this, it's supposedly indestructible, huge body of armor suit. It reminds me of the Iron Giant, kind of like a mini version of the Iron Giant, so that Steve Rogers can participate in the war and kind of be what I got with like Peggy's sidekicks. You had Captain Carter, and then you had the Hydra Stomper, which she never called him that. She always called him Steve Rogers. So it was like it's like Captain Carter and Steve, aka the Hydra Stomper or OG Warhammer. That's what I'm calling him. But it was pretty cool, and it was great to see that it gave Steve confidence enough to feel like he could do his part in the war. And it never really, it was always good to see them in action together. And you just thought like, oh, this would be like the greatest team ever. It was really cool to see that in action. So I thought that this actually made up a great ensemble, which was a little bit different than what we got to see in Captain America. So, in the movie, we got Captain America, we had Bucky Barnes, we didn't have this Hydra Stomper person, but we had Agent Carter, and we also had Howard Stark, so Tony Stark's dad. So we had that already, but it's still, given the new roles that have been given in the show, it still works. We saw the same great ensemble, and they just really, really work well together. And I know that Agent Carter was a show that kind of touched on Howard Stark, but it didn't have Steve and it didn't have Bucky. But I kind of wish this would have been a show on its own, or a series that we could follow with just the four of them, because they have really good chemistry together. And I could see them going on certain adventures together or missions together that would be really cool to follow. So I really enjoyed when they were all together and having their, camaraderie. There's a scene where Peggy and Steve are about to kiss. Aw. And Howard interrupts it with his, oh, wait, don't mind me, keep going. And he's going to watch, kind of like a haha. But it was cool to see all that, and have Bucky in there as well. So I hope that we get to see more of that, camaraderie and chemistry maybe in future episodes. So one thing I'll point out is, trying to give too much away, is there is a point in the episode where we have Red Skull, who basically is able to succeed and open up a portal, which is basically what he kind of does in the movie. He's trying to become a god, and he's using the Tesseract to do that. So he does achieve it to some degree, and what comes out of this is actually a Easter egg from Doctor Strange. It's one of his villains, and I won't try to give anything else away. I mean, I know in the trailer you get to see it. I think they show some of it, but it's a great callback to this, and I didn't really see this coming. But the only time I've ever seen this character show up is actually in a video game. I believe it was Marvel vs. Capcom, and yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about it. So when you see it, you're gonna be like, oh, it looks just like a regular blah blah blah. Nope. If you know your Marvel comics, and when I saw it, I was like, they would put this character in here for a reason. This is someone. And then when I thought I knew who it was, and when I looked it up, I was like, exactly, I knew who it was. So that's all I'm gonna say about it. Hopefully I didn't give too much away. Try not to do any spoilers or too bad of spoilers, but a great Doctor Strange villain call out, and hopefully this isn't the last we get to see this character, at least not in the MCU. So what I thought was interesting is, just like, because I did say this is like a Captain America, the very first Avenger movie redo, we have kind of the same outcome. It's done in a different way than what Steve Rogers did, as far as doing Captain Carter's part, doing her part for the war to win the war, and a sacrifice that has to be made. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Steve Rogers basically, got frozen basically in the end, and he was frozen for many years, and was basically thawed out, and there was like a 60 to 70 year gap, so the war was won, but it was at the sacrifice of him not being able to be with Peggy anymore, and his friends, and Bucky, and etc. So the same thing kind of happens to Captain Carter, and it's not really spoiling anything, because if you saw the movie, that's the same thing. It's just done a little bit differently, but the outcome is still the same. What I like about it, though, is you get the same setup as far as Nick Fury basically recruiting Captain Carter to be a member of the Avengers. So it's following the exact same storyline as the MCU. which leads me to my question: are these going to be connected? So this is multiverse, and different things are going to take place. But are they basically? There's only 10 episodes. They can't recreate all 27 movies of the original MCU phases. But are they going to possibly pick core members of the Avengers and possibly like Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff and recreate the majority of things and still have like an Avengers Endgame level ending with just like characters playing other characters? That would be crazy. That would be crazy. Is that what they're going to do? I'm putting it out there in the ethos right now. I'm saying that's what they're going to do. They're going to recreate some of the Marvel movies with characters swapping as other characters, and then they're going to basically have an Endgame type ending where it all kind of comes together. Because based off of this episode, I feel like they're connected in some way. These episodes are going to be connected somewhere on the same type of timeline. But we'll have to wait and see. So if you saw What If, what did you think about the episode? Do you agree with my review? And yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. And that's it for this video, guys. Enjoyed that like button. If you like this one, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time on the Mashup.